Dr. Zee, where we share everyday stories with you, everyday women. Are you ready to hear heart-to-heart key issues that we all face, no matter where we are in the world? So grab your cup of tea and let's welcome your host, author, international speaker, reinvention strategist, and woman that's full of faith in God and mankind, Dr. Zena.
Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome. Welcome to another episode of A Cup of Tea. Yes, a cup of tea with me. Oh, look, I've got lipstick all over it. With me, Dr. Zee. If this is your first time on the show, wherever it is that you're watching from, wherever it is around the world, whether you're watching on LinkedIn, you're watching on Facebook, you're watching on Instagram, wherever it is you're watching from, or you're watching on any of the YouTube channels, you are incredibly welcome. If you watch on the replay, that's fantastic as well. I'll just tell you a little bit of why I do this. This is a passion project. It's, if you know me personally, I love women and I make no apology. I love everything to do with women. I happen to be a woman myself. And I happen to be a mother of two amazing women, aged 24 and 27. So anything to do with women, you would see me. If it's going to impact a woman, if it's going to empower a woman, if it's going to enable a woman, if it's going to spotlight a woman in any capacity, I will be there. So this is why I do this. And I don't take my platform lightly. I've had the opportunity over the years, over the many years that I've been alive, to have the opportunity to kind of mix and interact with women all over the world, from all races, religion, even gender, dare I say, even though I'm a woman of faith. Different women, different intersectionalities. And one thing is really key, is that if you are a woman, it's important to me, and it should be important to all of us as a collective, to ensure that we have the right people pushing us forward, having the right people championing us on, having the right people that, stretch out a hand of fellowship to say, look, girl, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And we face many challenges as women. We face challenges as women of color, but even as women generally, we face challenges. We already know, just last month we had International Women's Month, and I always say that, as far as I'm concerned, anything to do with empowering women should not just be confined to a month, although it is good that it's been championed. And I happen to be a participant in CSW 69 UN UK Women, and that's a fantastic platform. I get to meet so many women, different views, different varieties, but all with one thing: to ensure that anything that concerns us is put to the forefront, to ensure that the gender equality that we're all talking about, that it actually does happen. We heard it's going to take 134 years until we even get anywhere close. But as long as we keep doing things like this, and you don't have to have a podcast, you don't have to be a speaker, you don't have to be a coach, you could do it just with your next door neighbor, you could do it in your local faith group, in your community group, with your family. But as long as you are doing something to champion a woman, you could be a teacher. And you know that in primary school, in kindergarten, elementary, depending on where you are around the world, the formative years of a girl child is really important. We heard the other day, and this is really, really sad, I can't pronounce her name properly. I think it's Kiwi, the young girl in South Africa who was terribly sexually assaulted at the age, I think she's five or six, I can't remember. And this was just the other day. And it happened in a safe place while she was at school. So this is why we do what we do, to ensure that no one is left behind, to ensure that our stories, our voices, the wonderful things that we are doing, we're not shrinking to fit. We tell our stories. And because we tell our stories, you are able to see yourself in us, hopefully, or you're able to tell your own stories as well. So this is why I do A Cup of Tea with Dr. Zee, spotlighting amazing everyday women just like you and just like me, doing phenomenal things. Now, my next guest, and I can see her in the green room just laughing. She's like, God, what is Dr. Zee going to say about me? My next guest is a phenomenal woman indeed. And I know for those of you that watch this show every week or watch the replay, you're going to be saying, yeah, she says this all the time. Every guest is special, but every guest is special because I don't take it lightly that you come on the platform. I don't take it lightly that my listeners at home are listening. Some of you are driving. Please, like I said, keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the steering. Don't answer any of the questions. Don't say, just listen. And some of you listen in the nighttime, depending on where you are. But every guest is special. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my next amazing guest. And welcome to episode 45. Oh my days, 45. We started on the 8th of January 2023. No, that's my birthday. Look at me. We started on the 8th of December 2023. See, my head's thinking about 8. And yeah, we've been going strong since then. We had a few stops when I lost my mom, but other than that, we've been going consistently every Friday. So let me tell you a little bit, drum roll, about my next guest. Oh my days. My next guest, her name is Nekita Paul, pronounced Nekita. And she'll tell you when she comes on. And now she is a dynamic woman, really dynamic in every step of the way, in every variation of that word. She brings not just her legal expertise, but she also has a deep commitment to social causes. I could see her shaking her head when I was talking about that young girl, that girl child that was sexually assaulted and raped in South Africa. She's always, focusing on advocating for anything that talks about being equitable. So equitable access to resources, equitable access to justice. Her skills in lifestyle coaching, she empowers individuals to not just realize their full potential, but her focus is really on the holistic growth of a woman and a man as well, and well-being. She's an accomplished author. She's a publisher. I need to talk to her to publish my next book, and I'll keep that in my mind. She's also penned influential works that inspire and educate. And while her publishing ventures amplify diverse voices and it reaches, broad audiences, she's also an expert when it comes to estate management. So not just estate management in terms of managing properties, but also in terms of managing people's estates after they've left. She applies her sharp business acumen to so many things, and she assists clients in not just effectively managing, but acquiring and securing properties. I need to talk to you again about that. I just remembered something else. And she's laughing. She said, what else is Dr. Z going to talk about? She has a unique blend of legal insight. And I like her because obviously my background is in law as well. So obviously when I saw that, I'm like, yes, now I understand why we're kindred spirits. She has an entrepreneurial spirit. Like I always like to say to her, she has an eye for detail. She likes to go the other way. So she's not someone that follows the crowd. She really considers every single argument of anything that's happening and looks for the way that maybe other people are not seeing, but will also, lead to fantastic results. Her unique blend of legal insight and entrepreneurial spirit and her dedication to personal and professional development has made sure that she's a respected thought leader and a driving force in every field she finds herself. Now, I'll tell you so much more about her, but I think what I'll do is I'll bring her onto the show. The last thing I just want to say is that she's also a consultant, and that's where I met her. And she's known for crafting memorable and seamless events that align with not just clients' goals and visions, but also with their end result with regards to making profit. Now, please join me. Clap for this amazing, innovative, phenomenal woman as I bring her onto the show. And she's like, oh my days, why has she set me up like this? The amazing, the phenomenal Nekita Paul.
Oh my word. Thank you, Dr. Z. I was like, who is she talking about? amazing. That's
Welcome
really
to
great.
the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you're watching anywhere, please put in the chat where you're watching from. We want to know who you are. If you're a regular, tell us that you're a regular. If you're a first timer, also say that you're a first timer. And today, like I said, is episode 45. And we're talking about law. Did you know? Law, legacy, and lifestyle. The various layers of a purpose-driven woman.
Love
And
it.
that's you. That's you.
Love
That's
it. Love it.
let's look at the chat. Ah, Wendy. Oh, Wendy's. Oh, hello, Wendy. Thank you for listening in. Right. So let's start. I'm gonna try my best to suck everything out from you so that our viewers and listeners can hear this and take things with them. So the first question I have for you, the very, very first question is, you're multi-layered, you're like an onion, but in a good way. So I want to ask you, what about being multi-layered really stands out for you? Because okay, you wear many hats. You're a lawyer, you're a coach, you're a publisher. And I said I forgot that, so I need to speak to you. So about my next book. You're a publisher, you're an entrepreneur. Just walk us through that journey. Let's unpeel who the woman behind this amazing layers is. Who is Nekita?
Thank you, Dr. Z, and thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I don't take it for granted. So, who is Nekita? Well, I would describe myself as somebody who refuses to be put in a box. Somebody that wants to use all her God given talents on this side of heaven. I want to make sure that any talent that I have and any way I can impact someone else, I've been able to do that. I've explored that, that path. I mean, starting from beginning, growing up, even my mom used to say, you're not quite, like my other kids. I always kind of had something to say and went the other way. When most people are agreeing on a particular thing, I would say, sorry, can I say it something different? And I would always have something different. Um, at first, when I was young, people, not my parents, because my parents encouraged me. It was people elsewhere that were trying to kind of shut me up and try to, why don't you just, be like everybody else? I'm like, but that's not being true to myself. It felt more uncomfortable to do that for me. It was better if I spoke up. And most of the time, it was speaking up for somebody else,
Yes.
lifting up, solving problems, lifting up other people, and making lasting impact. And of course, that has led me to the path, which is charity law, studying law, because of course, law is about solving people's problems.
Yes.
It has led me to being an empowerment coach, which is also about empowering others, speaking up for people and getting them to, giving them that confidence that they have, but somehow maybe like they try to do to myself, somebody has talked them out of it and made them, unconfident in themselves.
Yes. Yes. You've made so many valid points, Nikita. Thank you so much for, answering that so powerfully. There is nothing wrong with going against the grain. There is nothing. The reason why we have the various things we have in this life now, so we have things like computers, we have Apple, we have all sorts of things, we have Tesla cars, we have even people that we may not feel too great about, and stuff like that, but they all went against the grain. And so for us to shine our light, for us to make a difference, even in our small sphere of influence, we have to be ready to go against the grain if it needs to. So you don't just go against the grain, just to be obtuse, but where it's important to do so. And when you go against the grain, people will follow. People will follow. So that is, one of the tenets of being a good leader, is that you don't just follow the crowd. you follow the crowd if it's important to do so, but generally speaking, you need to be able to see a different perspective, see a different angle, and take people along with you. So I like how you talked about that. And it's so funny that you said that, even as a child, your mother noticed that. I mean, I'm just saying this, live on air. Just before we went on air in the green room, I didn't know this, and I actually said this to her. I was just saying, "Oh, Nekita, I always notice that you always." I mean, is it true? Is it not? I said, "You always go against the grain. We do things," and she will say, "Yeah, I have to say, but I have a different view." So I'm always interested to hear what she has to say. So it's interesting that I noticed that, and it's something that has been with you, throughout your life. Now, in your life, because like I said, you wear, from your bio and from what I know about you, you wear many, many hats. I'd love to know, and I'm sure our viewers would like to know that as well. Was there a moment or a turning point that pushed you down the entrepreneurial route?
Yes. So obviously being entrepreneurial is also about helping people, solving problems. So it felt very natural to go that way. So with my background as a lawyer, and also always in my sphere of contact, the people I meet, even when you finished possibly solving the legal issues, you could, be chatting about something else. And, there's some other issues which are not necessarily legal, but
Yes.
you have some wisdom that you can impact.
Yes.
And being entrepreneurial also is something I grew up seeing my parents do. My parents were lecturers. But apart from the lecturing job, they had what we now call in this day a side hustle. My mother used to cater. She used to arrange parties. My father used to uh, do speeches. He was a good orator, so I used to also mark question papers. So they had their side hustles. So that was entrepreneurial right there. So I grew up with that in as part of the things that was imbibed into me. So it felt very natural to go that entrepreneurial way because, like I said earlier on, one of my talents, would sit nicely in an entrepreneurial level, and that is also I got the same thing that my mother had. I'm good at organizing, and if that is not entrepreneurial, what is?
Yes.
Organizing, be it parties, be it conferences, just organization is a skill that I have, God given. And they always say you need to empty yourself before you exit.
Yes.
So of course I was bound to start looking at those avenues in the entrepreneurial light and try to monetize it if I can.
Yes.
It's something I'm as passionate about as I am about.
I like, I mean, there's two, I mean, I like everything that you've said, but two things I just want to touch on. You said probably about 5 minutes ago, you were saying that when you, solve legal problems, sometimes there will be other things that come out that are not legal problems, but, you might have something to suggest, some, areas of wisdom to share that can help in that direction. And I just want to say to listeners, wherever it is that you're listening from, or whether you listen on the replay, is never underestimate what you know. So you might go to an event, you might go to somewhere and you're thinking, mate, let's say for instance, I'm not very numerate. I can count my money because I'm Igbo, but I'm not very numerate, I know enough to get by because that's the culture that I was grew up in. But I don't really like numbers. But if you try to pull a fast one over my money, I know and stuff like that. And so if there's an event run by accountants, chartered accountants, my dad was a chartered accountant, so he was not best pleased, run by accountants, I would still go to that event because I know that I have something to say and have something of value to offer. So what I'm saying is don't always pigeonhole yourself oh, I'm a teacher, I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor, I'm a cleaner, I'm in hospitality, I'm an events manager, I empty bins, I tidy houses, whatever it is that you do, don't hole yourself in that. And another thing I want to say is with tech, and I think this is a good one of my mentors, I've got, to be a coach, to be an excellent coach, you need to have your own coaches and your own mentors. And one of my mentors, she's recently been going to um space events. She doesn't know jack about space, but it's like stretching her, her awareness, her ability, her knowledge, and figuring out what opportunities are there for me in this industry. So what are we saying? Take what you know and still go somewhere else, because you will have something of value to offer. Don't underestimate your value. Don't undermine your value. Don't think, well, I'm just a cleaner, or I'm just a teacher, or I'm just whatever it is you want to call yourself. I'm just a doctor. You're not just, you're someone before that. So always remember you have something of value to offer, and you always have an angle. And then the second point you were talking about that I really like is when you were saying, Nekita, that your mom was good at organizing and stuff, and you grew up seeing that as well, and so you picked on that. So the next thing I want to say quickly is that your family, friends, there are people that are in your sphere of influence who you like, they inspire you. Sometimes they might not even inspire you. You might feel like, oh, why they're so good. Whatever it is that is about them, see if it's something that you can imbibe and you can take on board. Sometimes some of these attitudes and habits coming to us naturally without us even knowing. And sometimes we have to nurture it. So it's like whether it's nature or nurture, and that's a whole different show all in itself. But I'll stop talking there, because I'm not the star of the show. I'm not my own special guest. Nekita is our special guest. So another question I want to ask you very quickly, Nekita, is how does all your roles as a publisher, as a charity lawyer, and I'll talk about that again in a minute, as a charity lawyer, as someone that manages estates, and an entrepreneur, and then as a mom as well, because we'll talk about, because then people will be thinking, well, who is this woman, and as a mom, how does all these things kind of merge together to form your core mission or purpose?
So everybody, I believe, is put on this earth for a reason. We didn't just rock up to
I like that. Just rock up.
do the normal things that everybody does. Go to school, fall in love, get married. No, not those things. I'm talking about things that are substantial. We all have a mission on this earth. Whether you're a believer or not, I happen to be a believer, and I believe that I was put on this earth for a purpose. And I believe that once you find that purpose, you're passionate about it and you excel in it. And whatever the core vocation that you have, you can pull them together to serve that purpose. Now, the correlation between all these hats, for want of a better word, is that they all impact people. They all impact, women. They all impact men. They all impact people.
Yes.
They change people's lives. They change people's stories. Be it as a lawyer, be it as a coach, be it as even organizing an event. I've organized an event, and the feedback I got was, so lovely. And the person I organized that event for was crying because they felt everything was beautiful. Now I had impacted that person. The person will probably never forget, because that memory, the powerful memory I helped create, is something that she would, go to her grave with. So this is what I mean by whatever it is I do, it's about impacting the next person. And that's what I believe I was put on earth to that is my ministry. Whatever I'm doing, am I supporting somebody? Am I helping somebody? Am I changing a life? Am I making an impact? And that's how you connect the dots in my story. Because people will be like,
I
You
like
do a lot of things. How do you get the time? I said some of the stuff I do, it's the passion. I don't know how I get the time. It's the passion.
yes,
Passion
get that. Yes,
is what drives you when the actual fuel has finished and you're
yes,
still going. It's the
yes,
passion. The
yes,
women's event is the passion, not
yes.
me.
Yes, I like that. You know, the passion, what drive, and I have a question around that. Well, and I'll come to that in a minute. But you're absolutely when you know what you're meant to be on earth, what you're supposed to do, what how you're supposed to do it, it drives everything that you do. But the question is, do we know? So it's important. And one of the ways that we can find out, you know, who we are supposed to be or what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to impact is what are those things that we naturally fall towards. You know, if someone talks about Nekita, someone talks about Zena, someone talks about Sonia, someone talks about Wendy, whoever, Althea, what is that thing they will say about her or about him when you're not there? And I'm not talking about the gossip and the bad things. Oh, you know, shit. No, no, no. I'm talking about what are the positive things they will say about you when you're not there. Or if they're locked in a room, 5 people that know you really, really when they're locked in a room, what are the things they will say about you? 9 times out of 10, those things that they've identified about you are some of the things that will help to push you forward, that you can use to make impact. So for instance, if you like organizing and people say, oh, you know Nekita, you know Zena, well, they're not going to say, you know, Zena likes organizing because no one else can do that. I'm a visionary, but you know, if oh, you know, she likes organizing, when she's or she's a connector, she's really, you know, she connects to anyone. They would always say that about me. Zena's a connector, she's friendly, she's bubbly, she brings people together and stuff like that. I mean, I know my purpose already, but what I'm saying is that if you are struggling, you're listening to this right now, either on the replay, and you're like, look, Dr. Zena, I have no idea. I'm 25 years old, I'm 45, I'm 60, I'm 70, you know, whatever, but I still don't know what I'm supposed to do. Lock some people in the room and they will tell you. You don't have to be there. They will say when you're not there, or you can just lock people in the room and put your phone on record, and they'll just be talking about you. Half of the things they'll say might not be things you will like, but there'll be stuff that you will hear that you, and the things that they say that are good, you can run with. That's a very good exercise.
Dr.
Now,
Zia, one thing I would say is it's something that you can do without getting paid, that you would
yes,
still want to do. That's
absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. Something that when you wake up in the morning, you know you should be paid for it, but you can do it effortlessly without. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's a really good one because I know, you know, as a coach, when people call me, you know, I forget myself and I'll do 2 hours. I'm like, oh God, and this is my time because you like, you're absolutely
yes,
correct.
yes.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good answer. Fantastic. Thank you very much. As a charity lawyer, you champion justice, you champion underrepresented people, you champion, you know, how people can have access to resources and support that they need, whether it's financial support or anything that, because sometimes there's lots of things out there that people don't know about, or they can be precluded from for so many reasons, which we won't touch on. But the question I have for you is, how can being how can the charity and legal sector better serve, in your opinion, marginalized or underserved communities?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, they say, how do you eat an elephant?
I
Well,
like that. One
one
bit.
one bit at a time. I mean, I have what I can do, what is in my gift, and I
Yes.
have also my voice. So that's two things.
Hmm.
So whatever is in my gift, so if it's something that I can do to shine a light, I would do. But I also have my voice,
Hmm.
and I also have my record, so I can use those two to speak for um, those under marginalized people or marginalized areas. I know that there's something in the legal field where you can like make suggestions or areas, even different policies that are being made. You
Hmm.
can, kind of support or give your own view on that,
Yes.
or even just writing um, a note or a letter, to
Yes.
legal company to say, I've noticed this in my cases. I've noticed that
Yes.
this
Yes.
particular demographic. is not
Yes.
getting the help.
Yes.
It's something that you could, when we're reviewing, this area, is something
Mm.
that I want to look into. And
Yes.
to me, that is in my gift to do that. And that's something that I can do. And you
Right.
can imagine if a whole lot of people do the same,
Mm.
that adds a lot of weight towards that change.
Yes. Yes.
So it's
Yes.
what
Yes.
can I do, or what can I, talk up to other people to do the same. And that's
Yes.
really what I would say.
Mm. I like that. Everyone doing their bit. Not being afraid to speak up, not being afraid to contribute to legal reviews and commissions. And sometimes we're scared about what people might say. How will it affect my bread and butter? But I know that the charity and the charity and legal sectors with regards to supporting marginalized communities, they really need people that are advocates. They really need advocacy, advocacy so much. And so, just with that, what would you say, Nikita, in your experience, are some of the challenges that can be faced being, on the front line of legal advocacy?
One of the most um, common problems is people don't know, who to speak to, what to
Yeah.
do. They don't know the first thing about how to go about the issues.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes even reading up or even basic policies, that the home, or for instance, let's say it's an immigration area,
Mm.
it's out there for everybody to see,
Yes.
the
Yes.
laws, but they don't know where to go,
Yes.
or how to,
Yes.
or
Yes.
even if they were to read it, they probably wouldn't understand it,
Understand
whether
it.
the way it's written in legalese, or just, not having the time to sit down and read it. So there's that
Yes.
ignorance, which is half the problem.
Mm.
I believe that all of us, whether it's your field or not, you should know a
Mm.
thing or two about a thing or two, because it
Yes.
will impact you in your walk of life.
Yes. Absolutely.
Have to be a lawyer to know what the policy says or what the law says, or
Yeah.
what, especially as it's impacting you. You make it
Yes.
your business to know. So a lot
Absolutely.
of us don't make it our business to know what we need to know or what we should know. And what that means is, when we're in a pickle, it gets worse before it gets better, because we don't know
Yeah.
anything at all.
You make a very, very, and this is very delicate, so I'll be careful how I talk about this. But just recently, I was approached, to give some, legal guidance to someone. I won't get into too much details because if she listens to, it wouldn't be nice on her. But what had happened is that she'd been given advice that was rubbish. And this is the challenge we have in our communities, various communities, whether it's let's say the developing community, so whether it's Caribbean community, African community, Asian community, we tend to believe each other.
Yeah.
And so she, long story short, she was telling me, oh, that an agent had told her to bring X amount of money that they can sort this and thing out for her and everything. And I said, you need to be careful. I said, go to the gov.uk website. It needs to be, so it's funny you should say this because you don't know about this. It needs to be part of your, you've got your Bible here, your or Quran, whatever it is you believe in. But as a person, and it doesn't matter what country you're in, you need to be well versed with what the laws are concerning your life, so that no one's going to pull the wool over your eyes. We hear this over and over and over again, how you get advice from my friend, my next door neighbor. Oh, I have a sister that did this. No two cases are the same, and the outcomes are not going to be the same because they're never the same. But because you're so busy listening to this person and this person, you either lose money or you lose your position, or if it's an immigration matter, you can lose your place in the country you're in. And so it's really important. In fact, you make a very, very important, in fact, it's just reminding me of another conversation I was having with my sister this time. And we were just talking about, property, She lives in America. We're talking about property. We're talking about, buying businesses and stuff like that, which is really big then. It's beginning to catch up out here about, buying outright businesses. One of the challenges is in terms of where our community, people who like to take shortcuts.
Yes.
Like to take shortcuts because you speak to a lawyer, you speak to someone that an estate manager like yourself, you speak to also, and by the time they talk about the fees and all that, it looks really massive, and it's quite massive. And then you speak to someone that says, look, I can do this with you, I'll sell this property for you, let's not get insurance and let's not get legals, just but you have no comeback. And 9 times out of 10, if you need to take a loan, like many people do, maybe you have your own part, your own equity, and then you have to take on a little part, maybe your bank is giving you some extra money. You can, in fact, there's I'm talking about church now. This is not my church, but I mean, I'm sure you would have heard this because I know you listened to it. There was a testimony recently of a lady. In fact, that's what I was talking about with my sister, a lady in America, a gynecologist, who it was a testimony that she got the money about $178,000 or something, yeah. And it was this kind of thing. And I know we were talking about it, me and my sister, that obviously she's not going to talk about the back end, but the back end is obviously there must have been some shortcuts and stuff, and you're taking people for on face value. And what you can do, you can lose reputation, lose your money, lose all sorts of things. And so it's really important for us in the community to go to the right people that have the expertise. And if it's too expensive, you can go to so many different people until you find the one that fits your pocket. But this thing that we keep doing, oh, my friend told me this, my friend, and Nekita, I can see you, this is obviously a bed, something that you're quite,
Yes, the shortcut comes with people trying not to spend money, but I think it's where do you spend money then? This is something important to you. I think it's where you should to get it done correctly. And not cut. This is not the time to cut corners. Especially when it has to do with legal stuff that is impacting your life. You need the best service.
Yes,
is what I would say, and this is not because I'm a solicitor myself, but I get it. That is why they run into trouble.
I could talk about that. I don't know why I remembered it just now. I could talk about that for forever, because it always seems very shiny and seems very plausible, but then all of a sudden, you're either losing your reputation or losing money, or losing whatever it is that you thought you could buy.
Come back full circle and come back.
Yes. Yes. Right. Sorry, I just now went off on a tangent there, but I just remembered it, and it was something that, is really, close to my heart. All right. We're still talking about legacy now. Let's go into legacy. Now, you're involved in property. You help people buy property. You help people sell property, you help people in their wealth generation, especially women. And I want to ask you, why do you feel, in your opinion, that it's vital for women, especially women of color, to get involved in property and wealth planning?
Okay, so there's a bit of backstory, and you might relate with this. Long ago, where I come from, the eastern part of Nigeria, there was an issue with inheriting land or inheriting property as an Igbo woman. And then it affected me and my siblings because we were given land by our parents, grandparents, and there was a bit of contention. And I mean, fast forward, there was a class action, and that law has changed. But you can imagine all those years of repression.
Yes.
And people feeling that they're not entitled just because,
yes,
the reason why we need to, get on, become wealthy, apart from it enables you, emboldens you, helps you to help others. Confidence.
Yes.
Now, in contrast to the mini story I've just told of how people were repressed back then, and then fast forward to today, where of course women boldly own land and etc. And you can see how much more confident those women are.
Yes.
So this is like coming to the table with something. You know, you feel proud of yourself, you've achieved something. And when you're supporting others, you know, you imbibe or, you know, that same confidence in them.
Yes.
Because people look at you and think, oh, I like the way this lady is. And you know what gives this lady this confidence? You go to her
Yeah.
backstory. She's
Yeah.
this, has that, she has, you know, property, she's done this herself.
Yes.
And then you, if she's a role model for you, you emulate the same and you get the same confidence with that.
Absolutely. I love that. At this rate, I'm going to be talking about all the various sub stories that I have out of this. But it just reminds me of a different story of two very close people in my life, very tight friends. They're like sisters, and how they were able to build from scratch, and build their own properties, buy land and build their own properties, which is no mean feat. Which comes down to the point that there is nothing you set your heart to do as a woman. It doesn't matter what color you are, where you are. There's nothing. There are obstacles. So I'm not trying to say there are obstacles, but you can scale over those obstacles. And it's really, I like what you said, Nekita, it's really wonderful to see other people that have done it,
Yeah.
especially if their backgrounds are similar. In law, in evidence, we have similar, no, in criminal law, we have similar fact evidence, so when something is similar, so, or we even have the reasonable man test. So, you have someone who's just like you, same background, poor, rich, whatever it is, same upbringing. And this is what he or she has been able to achieve. If she can do it, so can you.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to have a silver spoon in their mouth, but that's not the point. It's not about what, it's not about what you have. It's about what you've been able to use with you. If you have a leg up, fantastic. But many people don't have a leg up, but that still should not preclude you from moving forward. And I'm going to be talking to single mothers among you listening right now or on the replay. I happen to be a single mother. I've been a single mother for years, and I'm no apology, and I've been able to raise two phenomenal successful daughters, young adults in their own right.
Yeah.
And so why I'm saying this quickly is these are obstacles like you might face, you might not be, you could be married, but there are all kinds of, it could be a health challenge, but whatever the obstacle that is before you, you can sail over that obstacle. You can jump over the troop, like we like to say. You can outrun the chariot.
That's
Other
right.
people have done it before you, and I'm getting church now. I can see, like, okay, calm down, calm down, Zee, calm down, but there's nothing that you can't do. So you could be listening and you're thinking, oh, Dr. Zena, Nekita, you have no idea what I'm going through. I don't have any idea what you're going through. I really don't. But you have no idea how I'm going through. We've all got different crosses to bear, but the focus is making sure that you move forward and you drag as many people as possible.
Exactly.
Now, yes, I might not be able to drag you. You might be thinking, oh, she's too, but there'll be someone that you can drag, someone that will relate to your story, whatever story that is. I like when you said that. Thank you so much, Nekita, for that. You've just, put me on a different, you're taking me in all different directions. Prior to this, I said, don't worry, but I like how it's going. Now, let's talk a little bit more about estate planning in terms of, do you see, because you've talked about the Igbo experience, which is, some people listening might not be able to relate. Igbo is a tribe in Nigeria, in the eastern part of Nigeria. We have various tribes there, Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo. You have all the other tribes, Akwa Ibom, and all the different states, but we all have ways in which we do things a bit different, and the laws are different. So it's good that you mentioned that. But it just reminds me of a story. I don't know if it was the daughters that went to Moses. I can't remember what it was. That went to someone and said, yeah, is it Zed, Zillow?
Zillowfed.
Yes.
Zillowfed, yeah.
Yes. And they were like, look, we need a similar. We need, dad has died. We need our property, And so it's about being able to speak up and show up
For yourself.
Yeah, speak up and show up. Right. So the question I was going to ask you, estate planning with regards to liberation, I believe that, being in property, buying property, planning, estate planning, not just in terms of property, but, managing estates as well, or settling estates. I'm about to travel very soon to settle my mum's estate. So, it's important. Sometimes we don't plan for these things. So I'm not planning to say to any of you that I'm cursing you that you're going to die or anything like that, but it's to sort of plan it right now while you are alive, so how do you see it in terms of a tool for liberation, and what tip would you give someone who's just starting?
So with estate planning, a lot of people think you have to have a lot to go into, and now I'm talking about your own estate now, to to plan your estate. But estate plan is not just about when you have an estate, it's about leaving a legacy for the people that around you.
Yes.
Be it your children, be it your siblings, be it your relatives.
Yes.
So sometimes I've had a case, and this is probably not it's not something that obtains all the time. But somebody that had passed still inherited some estate. And you can imagine if that person hadn't said anything about how their estate, they wanted the estate to to be managed or to be shared.
Yes.
So whereas the person had said, okay, any estate that comes to me, dead or alive, goes to my daughter, for instance. And that is because that person was probably advised properly.
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is there's something about all of us. This is not for some people. It's not for the rich. It's for all of us.
Yes.
We all have something that we want to pass on, even if it's that one ring that has passed from grandmother to grandfather to grandmother to daughter, and a loom or something. It is also part of you passing on something. So I think it's the being familiar with the process of estate management, and it's something doesn't come naturally to most of us because we always think, I'm not rich, what do I have, what am I passing on?
Yes.
But even having that in place, because you don't know in your day-to-day work where you could suddenly switch from having nothing to having something.
Yes.
And then is that when you'll be running around trying to plan it? No, it should have already been in place.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Be updating it.
Yes.
It's something, the way we dress up. It should be that familiar with us, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Yes.
And this is probably a hard sub because most people would not agree with me, but that's the position on that.
You were talking about heirlooms. I remember this time last year, I was in Nigeria, all of me and my siblings, we took our mom back. She died in America, and we took her back to the east where we're from.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, there's a whole lot of stuff that she's got. We just didn't have enough time, me and my sister particularly, to have enough time to go through it. But as we were going through it, we just did a little bit before we, came back. She went back to America. We all went back to all the different places where we live. None of us live in Nigeria, me and my siblings, or my siblings and I. But what was interesting is that my oldest daughter, came with us. She, picked some rings and stuff that she liked. My sister picked a few things. I picked just a few things that we could just put in a handbag, really, because we said, this is so much. It was so overwhelming. When we come back, we'll do it properly. And where I'm from, there's a culture behind how you do these things, and the daughters and all that. So we're like, can't deal with it. When we do my mum's 1 year, we'll do it then. But what was interesting, as you were talking, you said the ring. Absolutely, I've got rings. And my mum wasn't very flamboyant as I am, not at all. She wasn't, but she had those quality things that she liked.
Yeah.
And I remember, my sister said, "Oh, can I have this?" We were talking, and just the other day we were on the phone, and she was asked, "What should you?" I think it was during Mother's Day, and I wanted to wear something that my mum would wear, but I never got around to it. In fact, I think the top was too tight, so I said, "I'll wait until next year." I'll wait next year's mother. Don't tell anyone. Shh, I'm on a health journey. But I remember we were talking about something, and my sister just asked me the other day, "Oh, that? Can I have it? Do you have it?" I said, "I didn't even see it." So so there are these things that you might think, you might be listening to, you might think, I have nothing.
Yeah.
I have nothing. It's not always about the value in monetary terms, although that's important, but also the sentimental value. I can remember when my mum bought certain rings, certain jewelry that she has. I remember when she bought it, why she bought it, and stuff like which we didn't remember before.
Yeah. The
You know,
story behind it. Some of them have a story behind it.
absolutely. And when my older daughter, oh, Mom, can I have this? I said, oh, I don't. You can take. Obviously I'm English. You can take anything. So ask Auntie. Auntie said, oh, you can take it. Both of us American, take it what you like. So we gave her that permission. She took a few things, and she's kept them in a nice trinket box. So she would give that to her children and children. So absolutely. Wow. Now, you are truly an embodiment, really, of different hats, different layers. I haven't even started to peel, but I want to ask you, what's next for you, Nekita? Coach Nekita, speaker Nekita, publisher Nekita, advocate Nekita, charity lawyer Nekita, and all consultant, and all the other things that we didn't even talk about, Nekita.
I think what's next for me is continuing in this my journey and creating more people like me, because I believe that we all have gifts, and we need to saturate this world with people with these kind of intentions, people that are out there building others, shining a spotlight on others. And because if we don't do it for ourselves, who's going to do it?
Absolutely.
Who's going to do it?
Absolutely.
So that's my journey here on out. It's
absolutely
all the same, and then supporting others to be even better than I am.
Absolutely. I love that. Absolutely. And you see, one key thing is that there's more than enough to go around.
That's correct.
There's more than enough. In fact, what's happening is that there's not enough people to actually impact the people that need to be impacted. We don't need to be like each other.
Yeah.
But someone is watching you. What happened to me years ago when I first started out as a divorce recovery coach, and it's something I still do, but do it by referral. And what became very, very evident is that in my initial Facebook page, I've got a new Facebook because obviously I got hacked and all that, but my initial that had over 5,000 followers and different coaching groups and mentorship, all different things. It was, going really well. But in that, I remembered there'll be days because people say, oh, are you always this happy? Are you always this energetic? And I'm thinking, I don't see it because I don't think I'm always like that. But what would happen to me, that what gets me out of bed every morning, even till now in my 60s, is when I remember that someone somewhere is languishing because I'm not showing up.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, and I don't know who this is for, 9 times out of 10, the people that you are impacting, you will never know. They will never thank you. You will never see them. You will never recognize them. You will never know. And so it's not about the accolades. The accolades are fantastic, but it's really not about that, because accolades is superficial. You make a mistake right now, you do something silly on social media, all the accolades just gone. It goes. Can't be a council culture. So don't take it too heart. I mean, I love the fact that, people know me, but I don't take it to heart, because I could, what's more important to me is when I do die, for God to say, my wonderful and faithful servant, you've done well, enter my rest. What's also important to me is the fact that someone that I will never meet is listening to me. Maybe, some people listen to this on the quiet. I won't know. I don't see any signs. They just listen to it. And then later on they say, oh, I listened to it. I'm like, what? But I didn't see, when I'm looking at my analytics, I can't see any evidence. There'll be people like, from Australia, Papua New Guinea. Oh, you don't know me, but, you said this. In fact, I met someone last Saturday we're having a women's event in my church, a women's ministry, a fantastic event, girlfriends and all day. And the lady sitting behind me, she said, oh, hi, and gave me a hug. So, turn to your neighbor. And I gave her a hug back, as I would always do. I said, I know you. You're you're Zena. But when I knew you, you weren't blonde then. I'm like, oh, this must be
ages ago.
yeah, and all that. And then she said, oh, we met at so-and-so place. And I'm like, know if we met at so I would have remembered, because I go to that particular event every year and I kind of know who I sit with and do this. So I don't think it was there. But I was now thinking and thinking and thinking. And then she reminded me, she told me what we discussed. I couldn't remember, but it sounded like something I would say. Anyway, we promised to phone each other. And then we did. And while we were speaking on the phone, I suddenly remembered where I met her, and I told her. So I remembered where we met. She remembered what we discussed, but I remembered where we met and all the different things. And, but what was interesting is that she remembered exactly. We met in 2016.
Wow.
She remembered exactly what I said, how I impacted her. She was going through a divorce. She's happily married now, lovely marriage and everything, but she was going through a divorce at the time. And, all the different things I said to her and all that, I couldn't remember any of that.
You know what they say is people always remember the way you made them feel.
Absolutely. Dr. Maya.
She didn't remember where, but she remembered how she felt.
Absolutely.
You that remembered where, because you were the one speaking.
Yeah. You remembered where, because she was so emphatic about knowing me. And I'm thinking, because normally when people see me and they say, oh, hi, I say hi to, and I'm thinking, I can't remember who you are, but I'm sure, and then some people say, you don't know me, but this is how I know you. Yeah, and all that. So the reason I'm sharing this really quickly is that whoever you are, show up, because someone needs you. Don't think that you are useless or hopeless or you're worthless. Somebody needs you. Somebody needs you, not just needs you like tomorrow. Somebody needs you now. Let that sink in. Somebody needs you now. Don't look at me. I mean, don't look at anybody. Don't look at people that don't look at Viola Davis that I absolutely adore, or Angela Bassett, they're amazing women, Beyonce that some of you like. They're all amazing. They're all impacting their world. But you can start by impacting your world. Don't think that you have nothing to share or nothing to offer. And I'm going to give the mic back to, I didn't even offer you any tea. Do you want some tea? Sorry.
Just to add to that point, that last point, before you move on to the next bit.
Yeah.
Another reason why we should all be doing this is somebody I could probably reach might be different from who you would reach.
Yes.
Have you ever noticed that sometimes we sit under people and we don't really connect, but we sit under the next person and we're alive and we connect?
Absolutely.
So all of us have who we can connect to.
Absolutely.
So the people that I connect to are not necessarily the people you connect to.
Absolutely.
So that's why we should all be in this together, doing this, so we can reach more people, because there'll be different people that we can connect to.
Absolutely. And even in that, even as you're connecting to different people, always make sure that you have your place to go to get filled, get polished, get refined, because this are people's lives that we're dealing with. Don't just kind of say things or do things based on head knowledge. Do your research. If you don't know, say you don't know and look for it, but also ensure that you get replenished. Like I said at the beginning, it's important to have coaches and mentors around you. It doesn't matter how high or how low you think you are. You need to have coaches and mentors. I have mine. I have mentors for my money, for my wealth, for keeping me accountable for my business. I always talk about it in something I do that I always find that one really uncomfortable, because I'm good at telling people, but you need it. We all need it.
Definitely.
We all need it. Now how can people contact you, Nekita?
Okay, so nekitapaul.com is my website. My IG is Coach Kita or Kita27.
Okay, let's see.
Facebook is Nekita Paul Okafor.
Okay, so that's your website there. We've got your FB at the bottom. Yeah. Let's see, what else can I do? On LinkedIn?
On LinkedIn is Nekita Paul Okafor.
Okay. I didn't put that, but I think I've got the Instagram Kita27. Yeah.
That's correct.
All right, good. Please reach out to this amazing woman. There's so many things she can help you with, whether it's planning your estate, whether it's helping you publish your next book, keeping you accountable, whether it's actually coming with a different direction that you wouldn't have never even have thought of. This is her, trust me. And I'm not saying it's like, we do something every week and everybody will have a different view. I do have a question and she will go so left field, but it's always amazing. So if you need someone like that who will either analyze your business or analyze your life holistically and show you things that you are not seeing, show you your blind spots, you need to speak to Nekita. And like I said, there's more than enough to go around. More than enough to go around. Now, I'd like you to share 5. No, okay, I didn't warn you. Okay, let me tell you 3. Let me share 3 tips. Three tips that you feel are important for people to take forward, after this interview.
Okay. One of the tips I would say is check your mindset. Do you have the right mindset? Are you easily swayed or dissuaded by people? And then second one will be know yourself and do not be afraid to be true to yourself. The third one, I can give you 5 actually, Dr. Z.
I was going to say 5. Now, so you see, I told you outside in the green room that law we have 5 judges, and there will always be the dissenting judge. That's her. Go ahead, Nekita.
I think I'm on number 3 now. I think.
Yes.
Is show up for yourself. Nobody else is going to do it for you. You need to show up for yourself. Speak up for yourself.
Yes.
And negativity is something you approach with a tunnel vision. Do not let people sway you negatively. Shut it out. Surround yourself with positivity, positive people.
Yes.
And that helps you. And like you said earlier, checking with yourself.
Yes.
How am I doing? Really checking with yourself. Tell yourself the truth.
Yes.
How am I doing? What am I not doing well? What analysis on yourself regularly. That's how you achieve, you keep going high. It's almost like doing a report card for yourself and, reading your report and say, okay, I'm going to improve on this.
Yes.
You have to do it. Nobody else is going to do it for you.
Yes. I love that, especially in terms of the mindset shifts. It all starts in the mind. It all starts in the mind, as the amazing Joyce Meyer would say in her old book, The Battlefield of the Mind. It's always the mind. If your mind tells you you can. If your mind tells you can't, you can't.
Where the battle is.
You absolutely, renewing our mind. I won't give the scripture for that. Thank you so much. You got it from her. Mindset, show up for yourself. She said 5. I can't remember. Mindset, show up for yourself. Check in with yourself. Do a personal SWOT analysis on yourself, to see your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats.
Approach negativity with tunnel vision.
Absolutely. I love that one. I love that one the most, actually. I love all of them. Approach negativity with tunnel vision. So normally we say that tunnel vision is not good, but for negativity,
it's good.
I like that. Thank you so much, Nekita.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun. Thank you.
I can see. We don't want to stop now, but but we've got to. When I first started this, just a quick, so it was half an hour. When I first started, it was half an hour, but there was just so many things to say. So I changed, my subscription, and now I can go in for as long as I want. But it's a Friday night in UK. It might be a Friday afternoon where you are. You might be at work listening on the quiet and you need to get back to work, or you might be in your car, or you might be trying to put the kids to bed if you're here in the UK, wherever it is you are. Thank you so much for allowing us into your space. I hope you had your own cup of tea, a little tipple, a glass of wine. I won't tell anyone. If you don't tell anyone, whatever it is, relax, look after yourself. Remember, reinvention is an inside job, and we will see you again next week for episode 46 of A Cup of Tea. Yes, with all my lipstick all around my cup, with me, Dr. Z. Thank you so much, Nekita. You've been a wonderful guest and a fantastic star. Great stuff. Thank you so much. Right, I'll put you in the green room. Don't go away.
Thanks for listening to A Cup of Tea with Dr. Z, your reinvention queen. We hope you've been motivated and inspired to go out there and conquer any obstacles and issues you may face. You can find Dr. Zena on all social platforms. Until next time, remember, you're not alone.